My next guest is Kasey Suffredini, I just mentioned, CEO and National Campaign Director of Freedom for All Americans, a campaign bringing together Republicans, Democrats, businesses, people of faith, and more, all working to secure full non-discrimination protections for LGBTQ people nationwide. Kasey, I don't know how you do what you're doing, but you are committed. I'll just put it in my terms, odd bedfellow relationships, right? Or odd bed person relationships. And in that, I'm interested in the magic of it and how it's going when it comes to, I talk to folks a lot on both sides of the aisle, and they often are talking about things that are so important to Americans, but gravity works a little bit different depending on where they sit. But tell our audience a little bit about what you're doing and some of the groups you're bringing together who we've kind of, unfortunately, in this toxic time, we don't usually see together.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me. So Freedom for All Americans is the national campaign to secure nationwide non-discrimination protections. And a core strategy, as you were saying, that we are employing is actually bringing together these strange bedfellows, bringing together progressives as well as conservatives, business as well as labor, elected officials as well as faith leaders, all to really demonstrate that, America is ready for Congress to take action, pass a federal law, and ensure that all LGBTQ people are protected from discrimination in all aspects of life and treated with dignity and respect. We live in a moment right now where there are 29 states in this country where LGBTQ people lack express non-discrimination protections. And this year, we actually have a historic opportunity to fix that by passing a federal law. The bill is called the Equality Act. The public is fully behind these protections. As of 2021, we've got 83% of Americans nationwide who support these protections, 68% of Republicans, 77% of Catholics, 62% of evangelicals. People are often surprised to hear that we don't have these protections. They're often surprised to hear how much public support there is, but it's there. The public support is fully there, and we think that this is the year that Congress really needs to come together and get it done.
So the House, of course, did, and the Senate has not moved forward. You have, as part of the Freedom for All Americans activities, you have a group called Conservatives Against Discrimination Coalition. Can you unleash them to some folks in the Senate and see if they might move the Equality Act?
Oh, for sure. We actually don't need to unleash them because they are fully energized all on their own. Their perspective. So this is a coalition that is led by former Congresswoman Ileana Ros-Lehtinen, Republican, and former Secretary of State in Kentucky, Trey Grayson. And what they've been working on over the last several years is to bring together current and former conservative lawmakers, as well as conservative thought leaders like Anna Navarro, et cetera, to come together and actually talk with their peers about the fact that this is a conservative issue, right? Freedom and individual opportunity, these are conservative values. They don't need to reach into somebody else's values in order to support this and in order to get this done. And they've done great work. At the end of the day, I think senators on both sides of the aisle, what they care most about is getting reelected, right? Delivering for their constituents what their constituents want. And so, this coalition and these leaders have been speaking peer to peer, trying to organize folks to, demonstrate that this support is there. But we also have, over the last couple of years, and particularly in the last 6 months, hundreds and thousands of constituents all across the country who are calling their senators, going in and doing meetings with their senators. I know you were just talking with the governor about the business support. Businesses are doing these meetings as well, really conveying this point, that I was saying before about the fact that America is ready. This is what your constituents want. There's no risk in taking this vote. In fact, you will be rewarded when you do it.
What do you think it would require? I'm just sort of thinking one issue that, I think it is a truth that if you look at many of the political advocacy groups in the LGBTQ arena. We were just talking about the Victory Fund. I would say there are very few times that Republican political leaders have been held up and celebrated and awarded. Someone like Ileana Ros-Lehtinen. And, she may have, just so I don't get a bunch of hate mail, I have great respect for former Congresswoman Ros-Lehtinen. But the the orientation, the political orientation has been very much on the Democratic and the progressive side of the equation. But as you pointing out, there are people who are standing up and taking leadership. Do some of these institutions need to be introspective, take a look, because it might be valuable, in fact, if they held up and celebrated and put out on a hand, gave an award or something in favor of some people on the other side of the political aisle that maybe would detox the approach on some of this?
Well, there are examples. You're correct that they're not as common as examples of standing up in support of Democrats, but there are examples of a number of different movement organizations who have come forward and endorsed Republicans in particular races and things. But I think we're living in a moment where I know you were talking with Senator McBride, and she was talking about how formal legal equality, the passage of the Equality Act, this is not going to end issues for LGBTQ people. It's really the beginning of addressing these issues. And what we really need is transformative cultural change, right? We need institutions and elected leaders, faith leaders, et cetera, to change how they think about LGBTQ people and change, therefore, by that nature, what our interactions with them are like. I think these conversations about formal equality are how we get to that transformative change, right? So we have not passed the equality yet, but in the process of building support for it, we have won over 400 corporations, over 50 national trade associations who support these protections. And in those institutions, LGBTQ people are having better experiences as a result. I think we have to keep in mind that when we were working to secure marriage equality, we didn't really have the support of many lawmakers at all, right? So we have a lot of Democratic support now that we didn't have as a community before. But to get to that transformative change that we want, as a stop along the way, getting the legal change that we want, we do have to be working, across the aisle and working to move people to support our positions, right, to see that popular opinion supports us and supports them evolving in their positions. And we'll continue to do that work. And I think as Republicans do evolve, they will get those endorsements. They will get the support of the community. But they've got to come out and say that they support the things that we say matter most to our population.
Kasey, just real quick, because I know you have to go, faith groups. You're making a lot of progress with faith groups. We had Representative Richie Torres on later who said, from his viewpoint, the culture wars are raging. A lot of Republicans are doubling down. They see the divide. How are you making progress with faith groups?
Well, faith groups are ordinary people who are living in their communities, right? At the end of the day, we talk a lot about the politics and the policy here, but at the end of the day, this issue is actually about something really simple. It's about dignity and respect. It's about treating our neighbors the way we want to be treated. It's about the golden rule. And there are no communities in this country where the golden rule resonates more than with people of faith. That's right. What faith is all about. It's about treating each other with dignity and respect. And so that is how we're entering those conversations. I mentioned some of the statistics. The support in faith communities is very high at this point. 77% of Catholics, 62% of evangelicals, places where you wouldn't necessarily expect it. I think it's important, as these wars rage, for people to remember that, LGBTQ people are also people of faith. They worship alongside non-LGBTQ people in these faith communities. And a lot of people of faith who support LGBTQ people do so because they know us and they love us, and also because their faith calls them to. They often speak publicly about the fact that they're not supporting us in spite of their faith, but because their faith tells them that this is the right thing to do. So, this is about people. This is not about politics, and it's these one-on-one conversations and people getting to know us that's actually moving all the folks that are supporting us, including people of faith.
Kasey Suffredini, I just think you're doing fantastic work. I want to have you back someday, kind of get a status report on these odd bed person relationships and what you're getting with them. Kasey Suffredini, CEO and National Campaign Director of Freedom for All Americans. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for the opportunity.